financial life. You don't just one day and say I want 10 million in real estate. Want to say I want to spend 10 million in account. You don't have a plan. So that is now sometimes the mistakes that the middle work, and that is plus the rich, because the rich will get the money and they compete where they'll be able to earn a return, and that is how you wealth. So when you're looking at your goal setting, there are things that you need to, because simply when we talk of the personal finances, we are simply looking at the money coming in and the money going out, what we call it the inflow and the outflow. So in terms of the inflow, it could be maybe employment income. Maybe you are employed and you have some employment income that you getting. This is source revenue. You could maybe having business income. Maybe you own business. This business is giving you which you can also be able to spend at the family unit. You could be having a you have made an investment maybe in real estate and you are getting some, or you have invested in the securities market, either the shares or the bonds, and you are getting, or dividends income that you are getting. So these are sources of income that you need to consider when you're setting your goals. Because if you don't look at the sources of income, sometimes you can set goals which are not realistic. It's very important to consider your sources of income. Look at your career, look at your salary, look at your income, be it business, be it investment income. Then from there, you also need to look at the expenditures that you're making. And later on, I will be able to introduce some guidelines that will guide you when you are making the budget. How much money go to the basic needs, how much money should be able to go to the wants. That is just a guidelines which we follow under a typical budget. So that is budgeting aspect. So you also need to look at your retirement plan and the goals. Because in many cases, we say in finance, you don't save for your retirement. You plan for your retirement. So the little money that you save, you also need to have some goals. And these goals could be maybe starting up a new business in 5 years. So within those 5 years, you'll get the information that you need about that business. Then that business will be part of your retirement plan. Because there is no way you will be able to save enough money that will be able to sustain you. For example, if you have only one source of income in terms of employment, at one time you will be able to retire. Even when you are running your own business, you will find that a time will come where now you will not be able to be in charge or to the day-to-day operations of the business. You have to hand it over to another generation to be able to run it. So during that time, you also need to have a plan for such particular time. Investment income, because you are not solely involved in the investment, maybe you can now be able to get people who will be able to do it on your behalf. So whichever point you are in, it is never too early, it is not too late. Start thinking about your personal finance goals, because finance is not guided by the goal setting process. You will find that you will not be able to achieve what you want through the budget, because the budget is a tool of planning which will help you to be able to achieve the goal set. So that setting goals is very important. It is the goals that will determine your needs. It is the goals that will determine how much you want to save. It is the goals that will determine the amount of money or the percentage of your income that is supposed to be spent on the wants. So some people think that taking an holiday is extravagant, but sometimes it is important. You also take an holiday based on the one. Sometimes it is important to have a dinner, and this is supposed to be guided by a plan. So that is why the goal setting very important. Maybe you say once in a while, maybe once in a month, I'll be able to have a dinner, and this will be the budget for the dinner. So if you don't have clear goals, you might find that the money that was supposed to be spent on basic needs has been spent on the wants. So it is important to set the goals because it is the goals that will guide your budgeting process. Because the budgeting process through budget will now be able to see what you want to attain, and that tool will now be able to help you in personal finance. So, any questions up to the point, Sumaria and Kevin?
No, it's good.
We are pressing on well.
Yeah, we are.
Okay. We are. Maria?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, in terms of setting goals in personal finance, we are saying a good financial behavior reaps one. When you set proper goals in personal finance, we'll be able to have security and financial freedom. So we all want to live a good life, but sometimes we are curtailed by the aspect of limited resources. So sometimes you find you are enjoying. Other times you might find that you are in financial distress because of some of the mistakes that you made in the goal setting process. So when you set your goal, you find that you will be able to have security and financial freedom. And all human beings want financial freedom. If you want to buy a car, you can be able to do it based on your plan. If you want to set up a business, you can be able to do it with a plan. That is now what we are calling the financial freedom. Then we also, when you have a good financial behavior, you'll be able to have ability to achieve goals. Sometimes we set goals and say maybe within 5 years, I want to build maybe a multi-million business. But sometimes we don't achieve these goals that we set because of either factors which are beyond us from the sometimes we also have our own internal factors that will make us not to be able to achieve the goals that we set. You find that we are not in the next 5 years our but you are not having a definite plan on how you are going to achieve that particular goal. So you will find that you will not be able to achieve that particular. Then we are about finance because you already have made elaborate plans. You know when to acquire something, you know when to make an investment because you have a definite plan that you put in place. So you will have less worry because if the opposite now, when you have a lack of financial discipline, it leads to the different challenges. It is the opposite of what you enjoy when you have good financial behavior. So when you are bad financial behavior, some of them that will happen, one of them is financial distress. Just like organizations undergo financial distress, and I want to define what is this financial distress. When you are experiencing financial distress, this is the time where your ability pay is affected. Find that you have some financial obligations that are supposed to pay, but these financial obligations you are either owing them with charges or you are not able to honor the financial obligations as and when they fall you. That is how you in financial distress. Of the 100 million pay, but you find that that to pay is not there. You have to operate funds that you will find organization of workers, organization in work on paid leave, organizations disposing some of their assets to be able to become lean organizations. So during financial distress, you don't operate on a budget. You operate on what we call a lean budget because you are how you are going to survive during a particular time. Then if this financial distress is not checked, it now moves to another stage that we call the stage. This is that the court will now be able to declare you bankrupt because you don't have ability to pay. So it should be at a personal level. It can also lead to bankruptcy. Sometimes can also lead to a neglected. You find every other time you operate and this keeps on coming, you will not be able to explain. It is because financial it can also lead to jobless. It can also lead to inability to pay bills. Find that maybe you're supposed to pay school fees, but because bad behavior, financial behavior, you are able. You're supposed to pay some contribution to an insurance plan or ownership plan, but you cannot be able to do so because of bad financial behavior. That is why God is very important, because we always say when you don't have God, you might not be able to achieve the things that you have. So it is important to have those goals and you clearly write somewhere where you can be able to keep track on how you are progressing the goals that you want to achieve. This goal setting process, because it is a process, it is not something that you do alone. At family level, you might find that there are people that you need to consult at the family level. One of the aspects that influences our financial goals is society, which is almost related to what we call the culture. So you might find that some people, cultures, or society are expectation. So come from where that is calling and these society has expectations. Sometimes society expects us to do donation. Sometimes society expects us to have some asset that we. Sometimes society expects us to create opportunities. So these expectations of the society, you might find that there are a lot of influence on the financial goals that we set. You might find who has just been employed. The major goal maybe is to own a car. That's based maybe on society expectation. Someone else based on expectation is to set up a business and create employment opportunity to the people or to the society. So that expectation, which again also will color the way we make the financial goal. We have the aspect of culture. In society where we live, we have different cultures, and these cultures also influence the way we make our financial goal. You might find some cultures more interested in technology, that more attractive in investment. So culture also as a way of influencing the goals that we make. We also have our emotions, the behavior, because it's the emotions that determines our behavior. So these emotions will also influence the financial that we make as human beings. We are financial. There's your influence based financial resources where you can now be able to say the next 5 years, in the next 10 years, I will be able to achieve this particular goal. So this is very important because without these finances, you may not attain some of the things that you need. That is why you will find